Hey everybody, welcome to the latest edition of Take 5. Today I want to talk to you about the challenges faced by investigators when trying to balance empathy and objectivity. Obviously, these are two very key aspects of being a good investigator. We have to be objective, look at the facts, gather those facts in a fair and balanced manner, and then evaluate the facts that we gather to draw appropriate conclusions. Now, along the way, how we gather those facts, this is where the empathy comes in. How we engage with people. The importance of showing empathy is, critical, but we can't let it compromise the neutrality that we have to demonstrate when engaging in our investigative work. So this involves active listening, validating feelings, but recognizing that the things that we validate cannot be the very thing the person's complaining about. Validating how a person feels about a situation and validating that that situation occurred as alleged are two very different things. So we want to try to avoid that emotional attachment to the narrative that's being provided to us, whether it be the complainant or the respondent. They're going to share their thoughts with us, and they're going to typically do it in a very compelling, a very emotional way sometimes. And when they do, we can be sucked in to, frankly, feeling almost sympathy for that individual. And there's a difference between sympathy and empathy. This is where we have to be so cautious. That roller coaster ride. I sometimes hear young investigators talk about, I heard what the complainant had to say, and I feel so bad that this happened to them. I'm thinking, okay, well, how do you know it happened to them? And how do you know it happened to them the way they said it happened to them? Then they talk to the respondent and it's like, oh, well, now I'm hearing a different story. So they're on that roller coaster ride that every time they hear a piece of evidence, so, I'm for them, I'm against them, I'm for them, I'm against them. And it's not our job to be for or against anyone. It's our job to gather information and leave the conclusions to the end. Let's just wait. And let's gather our information in a fair and neutral way, and then let's evaluate it and make our conclusions later. Make our conclusions when we have all the evidence that we know we're going to have or that we know we can obtain. Balancing this in how we conduct our investigations is critically important, right? Support is important. We want to be trauma informed. We want to consider the impact that an investigation process is having on a person, but we also need to critically evaluate the evidence in a way that is, again, objective and neutral. It's not our job to be a therapist. It's not our job to make sure that person is, feeling like we believe them. We can believe them insofar as we believe that they're sharing their truth. They're sharing their perception, and we can empathize with them on that level. But we've got to be careful not to empathize with them to the extent that they think we're in agreement. Nothing is worse than getting to the end of an investigation, sitting down with a person to explain the outcome of an investigation and having them turn to you and say, but I thought that you were on my side. I thought you believed, what I was telling you. And, that can be a very difficult conversation to have. What we need to make sure is at the outset of our investigation, when we're prepping the person for their interview, when we're explaining to them what the process is, that we really go to great lengths to explain our neutrality, to help them to understand that while we empathize with the fact that they're even involved in an investigation, involved in having to take a step of this nature, whether they're the complainant or whether they're the respondent, having to deal with this kind of thing happening to them in terms of the accusation, they both are going to see it from a different perspective. We can empathize with those perspectives, but our job is to be neutral. And as long as we explain that from the outset, we make sure they understand it, then, we're maintaining our professionalism and we're managing these emotionally charged situations appropriately. So again, always remember, empathy is important, but it can't be delivered at the expense of objectivity. And a good investigator will find a way to balance those two. So that's it for today. That's all I have to say about balancing empathy and objectivity. I do appreciate you listening. If you like what I'm saying, if you like the videos that I'm providing, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And with that, I'll say goodbye till next time.